Okay. Hopefully, I've not somehow fucked this up. And if I've done this right, everyone should be getting full frames. I should probably tell people I'm doing this now. uh, what have I done with my day? What have I done with my day? Well, we're in pre-show. No one's going to hold this against me. Okay. Awesome. I should probably do my like basic ass job, and that's the wrong thumbnail. That's the wrong thumbnail. Okay, cool. Hey, so Lazarus. Sorry, I was like in a different mind space. Before when the show starts, no one's usually here for like a minute or two. Uh, so I usually spend that entire time like updating stuff, tweeting stuff out, and the like. But like, good to see you, bud. Good to see you. A new name. It's always good to see new names. God, it fills me with a lot of joy when I see a new name. This is like the pre-show section. Usually, if I'm not being very lazy, all the stuff that we're talking about gets cut out maybe a few hours later. Why are you stalking my account? I mean, why am I complaining? Stalk my account. Why? I don't care. It's not even the good account. It's not the account where I hide all of the memes that I acquire. So I'm not too fussed, not too worried. But Screech Sola. All right, I was gonna call you Tris, but Sola works perfect. Is it like Sola, like Sola, or like Sola, okay? Let me say that again. Is it Sola like cola, or Sola like the word the phonetic la in like do re mi fa sol la ti do? Cola, cool. I love how I went around that entire thing. Hey, Enigma, how are you? Today's economics class. And remember, if you I have to put the up because I'm Americans. All right, cool. Sola like cola. If you like today's economics class, we're gonna be talking about a lot of economics. I've been writing this one a little bit for a little bit too long. It's not gonna be the longest episode, but it is going to be an interesting one because today I want to talk about a few things that are kind of putting the crunch on all of us, and I also kind of want to like talk about the CTA contest. um, I'm not going to be saying anything super meaningful. That's a lie. I'm probably going to say something groundbreaking and life changing, and you will all cry. You will all cry in reverence to me. But till then, until then, there's just a few things I want to get to. There's a few ideas I've come to. There's a few things I've thought about. And I thought it would be really cool. Neck deep in the CTA, I want you to know that I'm only going to mention like 4 CTA comics today. I should say that, like, just pre-warn you, pre-prep, right? Like, because the thing that we're talking about today, the CTA is like a part of, but if I told you that it was instrumental to it or whatever, I'd be lying, right? It's like a big part of it. It's like a big part of it, but like there's a lot of things I would like us to talk about going forward. And I think it's going to affect us. I want to talk about some really long-term stuff. This is going to be my really heavy episode before we do the next like couple of episodes of light fluff garbage stuff. Going to be the live streams. I'm trying to get more content going, but to get more content going, doing this takes a little bit longer. Yeah, so I'm just like doing prelim stuff because I've been on this since like the middle of the afternoon. I don't get a lot of time on a Saturday, but I mean I'm just trying to fix one thing. We'll start. We'll be good. Welcome, Jenny. Glad to see you T-posing into the chat. Glad to see you T-posing into the chat. I'm trying to remember the name of something. That I got that made me quite amused. God, I can't seem to find it. Whatever. I'll just have to go off of memory. All right, cool. I've done the things I wanted to do today. I'm kind of ready. Everyone else should be here. So we can just kind of go into it, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wait, 1 second. Let's change that. Let's change that background image to something a little bit more entertaining. It's a little bit, that's a lie. It's not going to entertain. It's going to be depressing. Like everything this episode is going to be kind of sad. I hope none of you hate me for making you too sad today. Because it made me sad to do this research. I'm not going to lie. Okay, cool. Transition. Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Webcomics Hubcast, episode 10. We made it. We're at episode 10 of season 2, everyone. Season 2, episode 10 is making me feel some kind of way. I've been reading a lot of my YouTube comments. I got a really good YouTube comment from Jessie Page Dawson, who thanked me for talking about her comic, My Superhero, which I'm going to talk about today again. You don't need to thank me, love. You do a lot of good work, and anyone would praise you. Anyway, today's episode is going to be fun for me, probably, and not for you. Today, I want to talk about the economy. I'm talking about the economy. I want to talk about the current state of crashing user numbers on every single platform all over the internet. I want to talk about COVID and what it did to the acquisition of what it did to platform holders and the consolidation of the industry. I want to talk about how long these wider economic downturns are going to affect us. I want to talk about Rob Liefeld, who, if you know me, you know I don't like. And I talk about Rob Liefeld. And I also kind of want to spend a little bit of time talking a little bit about the CTA contest. I want to talk specifically about the CTA contest, about contests in general, about the Tokyo Pop situation. So that's kind of today's total topic list. Hey, Sean, I gotta keep it light. The CTA is the call to action Webtoon contest, for the person in chat who said that. I'm keeping it real light. I'm not gonna spend too much time on Tokyo Pop though, because but I want to talk about it as a symptom of a larger industry trend, and we'll get to that. But anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Let's do this. Funny story. Guys, I want to tell you guys something today. I want to tell you guys about a company that's near and dear to my heart. I want to talk to you guys about a company that I love so much emotionally. I want to talk to you guys about Netflix. Woo! Netflix, baby. Is it about webcomics? Not yet, but we're getting there. Netflix. So if you guys are looking at the chart, the graph I have displayed on the screen, you're going to notice something really interesting about Netflix. Netflix has a fuck ton of users. They gain users constantly. But recently, you probably might have heard about this, Netflix has lost a few users. quite literally, as of last week, they have announced that they have lost 1 million users. 1 million users. And to some extent, and it caused their stock price to like fucking sink, right? But like to some extent, it is a symbol. And I also want to say they lost 1 million users. They were projected to lose 2 million. What they did was they projected that they would lose 2 million because they knew they would lose 1 million. It makes them look a lot better. Actually losing 1 million users saved their stock from sinking deeper into the ground. It's very funny. The economy, capitalism is totally fair and in no way rigged to the wealthy. Anyway, so Netflix lost 1 million users. Netflix is, if you don't know this, the biggest content delivery platform in the world, right? As in, other than YouTube, nothing is bigger. Other than YouTube, nothing is bigger, but YouTube is free. Netflix is not only the largest paid content delivery platform in the world, Netflix is the largest industry-based content delivery platform in the world. Nobody's putting fucking Tenet. No one's putting fucking Tenet on YouTube. It goes on Netflix or one of the other terrible streaming services. And I could go on this whole long rant about how nobody's going to win the streaming wars, because nobody's going to win the streaming wars and everyone's going to lose, and it's losing everyone in the streaming wars money. But what I wanted to really get to here was, if the biggest platform, content delivery platform other than YouTube in the world is losing users, what do you think that means for everyone else? So, I just want you to sit on that a little bit, put that in your little minds, and be ready for this next piece of news I'm about to deliver to you. And that is Tapas Media, the CEO of Tapas Media, Chang Kim. Remember the guy I called a tech bro with nothing to gain other than to absolutely make as much money as possible, because that's his entire life goal. Well, friends. Chang Kim recently just announced staff layoffs. So if you didn't know this, when Tapas Media, the comic company, was bought by a combination of, was bought by Kakao, and they not only bought Tapas Media, they bought Tapas Media, Uwusha World, and Radish, right? Those are all the services that Kakao bought. Kakao bought them with the intent of creating their own media conglomerate that would form a pipeline of written content to comics to whatever other media they wanted it to go. And when they did that, when they did that, they essentially intended on merging all the companies. Now, from day one, Chang Kim's position as the CEO of Tapas was changed. He became a member of Kakao's employment group and no longer a member of Tapas's. His position had changed, but maybe on paper he was still the same. But as of right now, Kakao has moved him to a higher position above all the three companies I mentioned earlier, Uwusha World, Tapas, and Radish, and has put in a new chief creative officer, as well as laying off 30% of all total staff of all three companies. Including, and I shit you not, the DC Comics executive, Michelle Wells, that they hired last February. She got hired last February. So let's do a little bit of recap. I just dumped a bunch of information onto you, but let's do a little bit of recap, guys. So I just said to you that the biggest content delivery platform in the world that isn't YouTube is losing users. I also just said to you that one of the major players in the webcomic space is firing staff. We're having a bit of a problem in this industry. And I'm not gonna say psych, because it ain't psych. Bleeding Cool actually caught this news. This is from Bleeding Cool. They caught this as it was, before it even happened. In fact, they caught it so early that Tapas told Bleeding Cool not to release the article so that they could tell their staff that they were firing their staff, and the staff wouldn't have to find out through an article. That's how early Bleeding Cool got it. And real big fucking props to Rich Johnston, the person who wrote this article, Rich Johnston. lots of respect for getting that all done, along with everyone else at the Bleeding Cool team. But why I brought all this stuff up, why I'm talking about all this shit, is because I want you guys to kind of understand where we're at in the industry, right? I want you guys to kind of understand where we're at in the industry. All of those acquisitions that were made, and this is why I'm going to talk about economics, but I'm just going to kind of proceed as that. All those acquisitions that were made during COVID. So when Webtoon bought Wattpad, when Kakao bought Tapas and all those other companies, right? All of that shit happened during COVID, right? All that shit happened during COVID because during COVID, there was an unprecedented rise in the number of people online, people using online content delivery platforms. And now while COVID isn't over, countries have turned off their lockdown measures. And as I told you last week, please stay safe. There are still COVID variants out. Please be careful. Please be sure to be careful about who you go around. But while while people are ignoring the problem of COVID, a lot of countries are taking their lockdown measures down, which has caused a lot of people to have to go back into work, which has also caused a reduction in number of people accessing content on the internet, right? And that is funny a little bit to me in a dark way. But what it does mean is that inevitably we were going to have a user base loss. Like that was inevitable for every platform. We're going to have a reduction in the number of people paying subscriptions, number of people actively using platforms, even if they were free, the number of people just being online, right? They're going to go back to work. They don't have as much time. They're not going to be here, right? So a lot of companies built their entire fucking they projected crazy fucking profits, crazy growth, right? They projected such insane growth, all based on COVID numbers. And there's a little bit more I want to talk about that COVID stuff, but I want you guys to kind of understand, to kind of see visually where we're at. So I'm going to show you my favorite graphic of the day. My favorite graphic for today. This is the stock price of Naver and Kakao. So I told you that Michelle Wells, the woman who worked at Kakao, who worked for Tapas, right? Who was hired last February, got fired literally like a week ago or a few days ago, right? They hired her last February. This is the stock price of Kakao in last February. It was 97,000 Korean won, about 1,000 Korean won to the dollar, so that's about $90. Call it $80, give or take, right? The price of the stock of Kakao went up all the way to over $100, right? In the middle of 2021. Guess where it's at today? In fact, I'm not gonna let you guess. I'm just gonna show you. Kakao stock is $70. Like everyone is feeling the crunch right now. Even Naver, the giant that they are, that was trading at $200 a stock as of $300 a stock as of last February, last April, is in the ground to $220 or so dollars a stock, right? Everyone's valuation has gone down by like 20%. Everyone's stock price has gone down by like 20%. If you do the YTD of like any of these companies, fucking Kakao lost 30% from January till now. And Naver lost 30%. Naver lost 35%. Buy the dip is still going. There is no dip to buy. Buy the dip, but the dip bought me. I bought the dip, but the dip dipped. Like what I'm trying to get to you is like everyone's losing money right now like crazy. Everyone's losing money like crazy, right? Everyone's valuation is going down. Everyone's valuation is sinking into the ground. You wonder why Webtoon is hosting this fucking contest and pushing IPs like the world's about to end? The valuation is tanking. They need to make sure that they can move as many fucking names as they possibly can into the company to increase the amount of money that they make. You want to know why freaking Kakao and Naver and YouTube are talking about fucking NFTs? It's because they're going broke. I mean, not YouTube. Ignore YouTube, actually. I mean, you want to know why all those webcomic companies are going into NFTs? It's because they're going broke and they're trying to get any port in a storm. And the thing is, they're not really going broke. And this is where we get to the funny thing I wanted to talk to you about. So, guys, remember all those acquisitions I talked about earlier? when I said that Webtoon bought what'd you call it? Wattpad. And what's his name? Kakao bought all the other companies, put them into a group, right? And Tapas, Radish, and Usha World. I'm gonna let you guys in I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Get closer to the computer. Get closer to the phone. Get closer. Get real close. Okay. All right, guys. They made those purchases with debt. They bought all of that shit with borrowed money. None of it was their money. So basically, as we went into COVID, the interest rates on loans were licking the floor, right? The interest rates of loans were really low across the world. And the interest rates are still pretty low. They haven't raised, in some places, they haven't raised them yet, right? So because of that, a lot of companies going into COVID, not only did they steal money from the government for low-income businesses that were meant to help those businesses retain staff, and then they took that money and then they didn't retain their staff. A lot of those companies also took a lot of loans. They took a lot of loans backed by the fact that their stocks were rising sky high. A key example of this is a man who I'm going to mention today, and I've never mentioned before, and I hope to never mention again. And it's Elon Musk. It's Elon Musk. And the reason I'm mentioning Elon Musk right now is because as we went into COVID, right, the price of Tesla stock, and I'm just going to show you here in the graphic real quick, the price of Tesla stock went up to $1,000 a share mid-COVID, right? And what did he do? He did what everyone was doing. He took his shares and then he gave them to a bank and said, hey, I want you to give me a bunch of billions of dollars to do whatever I want with, and I'm gonna back all those billions of dollars with the number of shares I have and the cost of my shares, right? I'm not here to give an opinion on Elon Musk. Everyone knows I think he's a twat. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. You don't care, and neither do I care what you think. But what matters here that I'm bringing up is not just Elon, but every single dipshit in Wall Street, every single company that could, took a bunch of really big loans and backed all of it with share price, right? So when Naver bought Wattpad, that was with debt. That wasn't liquid money they were paying for. They don't have $600 million just sitting around. They dumped that money. They bought it with debt. When Kakao bought all three of those companies, Tapas, Usha World, and Radish, they bought it with debt. They bought it with debt. And why the fuck would they need loans when they have billions? They don't have billions. All these companies operate on speculation and money they have tied up. Money they have tied up in what are called, I think they're called capital assets, not liquid assets. I think that's the right word. I hope I used the right word. I might have fucked it up. But the point is they're tied up in stuff that they can't easily convert to money. So they made a bunch of purchases based entirely on debt, right? And so now that all of the stuff and they made this purchase based on debt, based on the price of their stock, saying not only to the people that they were selling, they were taking the loans from, but to their investors, hey guys, don't worry, our growth is going to be infinite and will never stop going up. Now, I don't need to tell you, but that's the dumbest fucking thing you can ever hear. But they took that, but banks, lots of people, lots of lenders took those words at face value and gave them the money. Now, they're a little bit worried that these companies can't pay. So a lot of them are recalling debts. This is across every single company that took a loan during COVID, right? And while that's happening, as Low Tier Loser points out in chat, there is currently a giant amount of user-based crush. It's literally lowering every projection for quarter 3, quarter 4, and quarter 2 projections aren't even out for some companies. Quarter 2 results aren't even out for some companies. Like basically, we don't know how much how much money companies have lost this quarter. And for the next 2 quarters, because they know that they're losing users, they're projecting more loss of users. Like they're just going, you know what, we're not going to make money. Even Facebook Even Facebook is like, yeah, we're going broke, chief. We're not making money this year. We're not making $40 billion. We're only going to make $28 billion or $23 billion. I said billion with a B. These people are fucking animals. Anyway, like it's absolutely dumb. And because of all this money lost, because of all this money lost, all this money that they have in debt, all this money that isn't liquid for them to, and they have to pay back, right? We now have to go back to the thing I pointed out earlier. I told you I told you Kakao laid off 30% of all people working at Tapas, Radish, and Wuxia World, the Chinese light novel company, right? They laid them off because they were broke as shit. They're losing money, so they laid them off. But here's a funnier story. Guys, I got a funnier story for you. Oh, you can never say that I'm not your friend. I only bring you the primo gems, the highest quality shit, right? I sound like a sleazy salesman. I sound like a sleazy salesman when I talk like this. Jesus Christ. They saw profit and low interest rates, let it blind them and fail to account for post-COVID from misty Nicks. Yes, they wouldn't give a fuck. Companies do that all the time. But let me get to the funnier story. Okay, this is also from Bleeding Cool and also from Rich Johnston. You know, we gotta love Rich Johnston. We stand a Rich Johnston in this house. Mr. Rich, you know what? Let me just real quick go on Twitter and follow him. Let me go real quick and follow him on Twitter. Mr. Rich Johnston, at Rich Johnston. I'm gonna just give you a follow right there, Chief. Bless. So Bleeding Cool just really fucking reminding me why they're still my favorite publication site. Like, I don't fuck with any other publication site. I don't read comic book resources because it's kind of trash. I don't read Screen Rant because it's worse. But I always read Bleeding Cool because they are always bleeding fucking cool. Anyway, just some real small other news that Bleeding Cool picked up from SDCC this week. So I told you that Tapas has a new chief creative officer, a new CCO, and his name is Wan Choi. And in fact, Wan Choi, gotta love Wan Choi, he's basically taken over Chang Kim, the CEO's role. Chang Kim now works for Kakao. He has a higher position at Kakao, right? And the person now in charge of Tapas, and the person now the boss of one of my viewers, who was a moderator for Tapas, is Wan Choi. I hope I'm saying his name right. I do try very hard not to say Korean names wrong. I'm doing a little bit better, but none of this is in Hangul, so I can't even be sure of what I'm saying right or wrong. But like essentially, basically, Chang Kim was elevated to a high position at Kakao, right? He thought that when he got the deal, he would basically continue to run Tapas autonomously like they always had. But Kakao was like, yeah, no. There was a bunch of demands, a bunch of meetings, right? And when he held these meetings, he kept saying that he wanted to be in charge, and he wanted to be in charge of Tapas. And he wanted to use what he called algorithmic number crunching solutions to creating new content. And that's where the person, Michelle Wells, the woman I told you they fired, she was really good at it. When she worked at DC, they would basically just do they would do like content analysis and then pick the best content and then push that, right? Like, it's not complicated. It's what companies do. Tapas has just always kind of sucked at it, but Michelle has a lot of experience doing it at DC, so it was somebody experienced and knowledgeable and aware of the industry coming in. And that's and so that's like the small bit, but the real funnier story I want to get to is that so during a lot of staffers, right? A lot of staffers were given stocks last year. Not last year, before the acquisition, they were given stocks. And also last year, actually, they were given stocks. Stocks were issued to them at what were called reasonable prices, right? And then Chang Kim and Wan Choi came back and told everyone in the staff, actually, no, we're giving you those stocks at a price that's too cheap. And then they raised the price, just according to some accounts, over 150% more than the original price that they told the staff they would sell them stocks at. And if you don't know what this is, sometimes companies do this thing where they're like, hey, instead of paying you $450 this month, we'll give you a stock option, right? That is worth $450. And basically, Tapas went to the staff and went, "Hey, we'll give you this stock at like $50," and then left, and they came back and was like, "Actually, we're gonna change our minds. We're gonna give you the stock actually at like $150, $150, $200. Fuck you," and then they fucked off. At 125, sorry, if you actually used the 150% increase. And like that meant that the staff essentially got paid with fewer stocks for more money. Like they essentially bought into the fewer stocks with more money, but the stocks hadn't reached that valuation. And at least didn't seem to be that valuation. And that's a little bit sad. That's a little bit shit. And internal Tapas vibe has been that staffers are feeling that every conversation is portraying their own salary, their salaries that they get paid as a downturn, something that's causing harm to the company. And then they're not being given the funds they require as like staffers to do the work they need to do because Tapas is being cheap as shit. You know, that's entertaining, especially now that One Choi is in charge exclusively, because One Choi, right, is basically a financial guy. That's his thing beforehand. So it means that Tapas is going to run very much based off of its financials and less off of its creative incentives that could then be balanced by financials, which is a very different operating system, if you don't understand. If you want to see what an example of that is, think Netflix. Think Netflix. When Netflix like puts out a bunch of low effort shows that are low effort, terrible like reality shows and stuff, they're entirely fueled by the fact that like they get big readers, right? They get lots of viewers. But Netflix still makes big creative work. Imagine if Netflix only made those low effort shows and never made the big creative work. That's a company that's being driven entirely by financial decisions and very rarely by creative decisions that might lead to better financial gains or might be matched up by the financial gain they make. And people in Tapas are feeling like they're not only that they're feeling like they're being treated as burdens for the amount of money they get paid, not being given the funds to do the work they need to do. So by being told stuff like that the creative endeavors they want to engage in are too risky, quote unquote. I just think that's very funny. You know, I love this industry. I love comics. Oh, it's so nice. Don't you guys love this? Don't you guys love it when the thing that you love, the thing that you dedicate your time to, because of the decisions of a bunch of rich dickheads, is put in an incredibly volatile situation wherein you feel constantly under pressure, constantly squeezed by the system? That's the feeling of hope right there. Oh, my soul. Also, great example from Low Tier Loser. Webtoon is now more lenient in axing series as of recent, as creators are talking about. Yes, that's also an example of the downturn that Naver is experiencing. When companies are losing money, this happens. Love it. Chef kiss. Can't wait to get down on my knees for our corporate overlords again. Oh, live every day the best way. I told you I didn't want to make today's episode depressing. I lied. So, going on, if you guys know about Substack, in fact, you guys know about other comic platforms. This is the thing that's happening to a few of them based on the people that I've been talking to, and a few of them based on the friends that I've been talking to, and a few of them based on the readings I've been doing. If you know anything about Substack comics, if you know anything of Substack, you would know that Substack had a comics division. Substack's comics division is also currently having problems with its stability. I don't have full, deep news on it. All that is known is that they have been laying off people, and that while the comic side of Substack is doing, like Substack as a whole has been laying off people, and while the comics side of Substack is doing a lot better than everywhere else, it's still like very unstable. Combine this with places like Comixology, basically, I think Comixology basically got axed and is now just Amazon Comics. And in general, the general comics industry outside of the indie space that I'm aware of, just feeling the heat right now. And it's all entirely because a bunch of dickheads just had a hiccup. My bad. Because a bunch of dickheads played the speculation game and then made and got us to a point where a lot of our places are overvalued. And I want to talk about this overvaluation thing a little bit. Wattpad, Webtoon, Wattpad, Webtoon, Wuxia World, Tapas, and Radish are highly overvalued. Naver paid $600 million for Wattpad. Look, I love Wattpad. Look, Wattpad people, you're a Wattpad person. You're a Wattpad 13-year-old girl writing your story about your OC falling in love with Harry Styles, and then the two of them go off into the sunset and fuck each other. You know, I love you. I love you. I want you to succeed. I think that this is part of your success standards, and I am not here to judge you or your work, but your platform isn't worth shit. Like, Wattpad is a company that is not worth $600 million. Wattpad is a company that is worth maybe $200 million. Wuxia World was valued at $150 million. Wuxia World doesn't publish out of China, which, yeah, I'm sure that could be a lot of money. But remember, before I said the words Wuxia World, you didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. The English-speaking division is is not making a bunch of money. And Radish, who the fuck is Radish? Like, I say this to you with love. I know who Wattpad is. I know who fanfiction.fucking.net is. I know who AO3 is, right? I even know who fucking Wuxia World is to some extent. I already knew who they were beforehand. Who the fuck is Radish? And why are we valuing them at almost $50 to $100 million? What the fuck? I feel like my body is crunching into itself and it's squeezing into a ball. I feel like I'm losing my mind. This industry infuriates me. And yet, like the mook that I am, I'm still fucking here. Like the rest of you dickheads. My soul. All right, let me just take a fucking second. Let me answer some questions in the chat. We'll do more podcast. Let's see. From Misty Nix, dealing with big corporations is what makes me consider self-publishing, but that just has so many downsides. Self-publishing has tons of fucking downsides. Tons of downsides. Like, it is actually ridiculous, but you should self-publish. Even if you use every platform in the goddamn world, you should self-publish. Self-publish in every possible way that you can. Get your work out there. Join a local maker group and make your comics physically and sell them at local conventions, in local bookstores if you can get your name in there. You know, there are lots of local art stores that support small artists, at least in the UK. I know in the US a few small towns have them. Yeah, the one on the link tree is broken. I haven't even dealt with that in a while. But so guys, please just make sure you're giving yourself as much of an opportunity as much of an opportunity as you can, right? Like, it is an unfortunate thing that it's a lot of work to be a successful comic creator, but I know that kind of hurts, and I know that probably makes you very upset, and I'm sorry about that. But I really want you. Oh, thanks, Jenny. I really want you to like, not take this the way that I would. Oh, correction. Not take this the worst possible way. Use it as an opportunity to grow through spite. That's like my entire advice to you. If something bad happens around you, don't like just get mad about it. Use it as an opportunity to grow through extreme spite. Be like me. Be the worst possible version of yourself by just being like me and like growing yourself through spite. Please self-publish. I know it kind of sucks to do, but self-publish. And let's see, from Justin Cowgill. Justin, you're a new name. Nice to see you here, buddy. What do you think of comic crowdfunding campaigns? Weird. I actually have a lot of really good thoughts about comic crowdfunding campaigns. In general, I am very supportive of the comic crowdfunding effort. I think it's a great thing. I love that people are trying to get their comics out there with crowdfunding and the like. I love that it's a new method for creators without a lot of pull to make their money, to get the bag. You know, I want us all to get the bag. My major problem with, if I'm honest with you, if we're being like honest with each other, my biggest problem with what do you call it? with Kickstarters, comic Kickstarters and comic crowdfunding campaigns, is that often they're also co-opted. The indie nature, the close-knit supporting each other nature is often co-opted by really shitty comics gators. And I don't like gators. I don't like comics gators at all. I think they are bad. I think they're bad for the industry. I think they're bad for the people in the industry. And I think as a whole, they are overwhelmingly harmful. And unfortunately, they're also very popular when they do a crowdfunding campaign because they're very good at getting themselves seen. They're very good at getting their friends to repost their work, and getting themselves very popular using a movement that's meant to support people trying to make things to make people happy, not people trying to make things to be hateful little twats. Comic gators, Gaters, like Gamergate. Like Gamergate, Comicsgate. There's one in the comics one too. Maybe I'll do a whole episode about Comicsgate at some point, but not today. I just wanted to point out that I didn't like that. But in general, I think crowdfunding campaigns are great. You know, I recently bought two Kickstarter campaign comics, Filth and Grammar by the illustrious and wonderful Shelley Bond, and her follow-up book, because I'm not gonna lie, Shell, you got a hold on my soul. Her follow-up book, what'd you call it? God, I'm trying to find the Kickstarter link I clicked for this. A follow-up book, Fast Times in comic books editing, because I love to read things and papers and media in like that more academic way. But I saw some really good comics Kickstarters ever since I started doing this comics thing. I saw Murenga, a queer African comic. I saw that was on Kickstarter. I saw what'd you call it? I saw Moringa. I saw My Monstrous Lovers. You know, these are comics that wouldn't have anywhere else to tell their stories. As someone who grew up in Africa, so My Monstrous Lovers wasn't a comic. It was something from a friend that got sent to me. Don't go to My Monstrous Lovers, but Moringa especially is one that's really important. You know, it wouldn't have gotten made any other way. Moringa is a queer story in Africa, and if you didn't grow up in Africa like I did, I'm not going to tell you where I grew up, but if you didn't grow up in the continent, in the space, you didn't grow up in the zeitgeist, you don't understand how hard it is to be openly queer in that space. Americans think that they have it, and this isn't me saying Americans have it hard. Americans have a hard time being queer openly, but the African continent is hype. It's basically, you know, all those evangelical Christians that you know? Imagine the whole continent full of them. Like 90% of the people in charge and 90% of the people just around are like that. So queer stories don't ever get told. So an African queer story being put out by somebody who is African, by someone who is, I think she's Kenyan. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest. I didn't read too much into it. But as someone who's like using our pantheons and talking about that stuff, real important, real nice. And that shit wouldn't get made without Kickstarter and other crowdfunding campaigns. So, you know, I love crowdfunding for comics as a whole. Yeah. I love crowdfunding campaigns as a whole in general. I don't like some of the aspects of it. I don't like some of the people who use it. I think for a good rule of thumb, don't back any comics that aren't on BackerKit or Kickstarter, despite their shitty NFT leanings Kickstarter has, because everyone else in like places like Indiegogo and stuff can be a little bit suspicious. Yeah, cool. All right, we've taken our break. We've taken our prerequisite break. And I have some thoughts. There's a little bit of a thing I've got to talk about with Oni Press and Lionforge if I get some time, but I have some thoughts, and I want to talk to you guys about something really, really fun. Something really fun. Rob Liefeld! I lied to you again, you fools. You thought I was going to talk about something fun. You fucking morons. I'm going to talk to you about Rob Liefeld because I have no respect for your time and or joy. Who's Rob Liefeld? Only one of the biggest goddamn names out of traditional comics. Who's Rob Liefeld? Only the man who invented Deadpool. Who's Rob Liefeld? Your mom knows who Rob Liefeld is. And she doesn't really like him, I'm not going to lie. I think he created Cable as well. I think he invented Deadpool, but I know he invented Cable for sure. and I read the cable for sure. And if you don't know who Rob Liefeld is, I actually, I've got a really funny clip to show you. I was thinking about whether I should show you guys this, but I feel like it would be totally worth it to do. So let's have a little. He drew the best Captain America art I've ever seen. Honestly, nothing could ever top that. That Captain America art. Society was never the same. Society was never the same. It was never the same ever since. So who's Rob Liefeld? I'm in love with this art piece. I'm in love with this piece. It's so good. He is wrong with Deadpool. I'm pretty sure your mom does know. Why is there naked Captain America? I don't want to get kicked off. I don't want to get kicked off. They did it. No, they did it to him too. Anyway, to understanding of who Rob Liefeld is.
We'll try to explain.
We're gonna have a little conversation. All right, kids. I want to show you this clip. This is a clip from a show that Marvel used to do a while ago. I think it was Marvel. I don't remember what show this was. I actually don't remember what show it was. I thought I remembered, but I really don't. This is a show. Who you're seeing in front of you is Stan Lee, rest his soul. Rob Liefeld in the chair in the blue shirt. And I think that's Todd McFarlane next to him, right? I think that's Todd McFarlane. Let's just watch this clip. Just if you want to know who Rob Liefeld is, you want to know about him, let's watch this clip.
We'll try to explain our thinking on how we're coming across and why we're doing overkill the way it is.
You can think and draw at the same time?
Yeah, and especially if it's going to be overkill, his equipment's got to be overkill as well.
Oh, heck yeah.
Always remember he's tough, but he's not violent.
Okay, along those lines, he's got the biggest shoulder pads ever existed. It's like
I figured he would.
Chest
I'm going to give him some big knee pads here. Because a guy like him that's got some armor and got some guns and stuff like that is going to...
Boy, he looks grim, doesn't he?
There's a section.
The kids like the dark, moody stuff.
There's a section here. So there's a section here that's going to be very funny. And I want to show you guys this. Because Stan is going to ask a very important question, and that's going to be relatively important for us.
But you do very often you show people getting dressed, especially women. I seem to recall that now.
Yeah, no.
You draw hands? Are you into hands?
Oh, yeah, I'm the best.
You do hands?
But why don't we give them here...
Why the clip says holy shit he knows is because Rob Liefeld used to avoid drawing hands a lot. It's not that bad anymore. Rob and Todd used to avoid drawing hands like a lot.
Wires coming out here,
But like they're designing this character overkill, right? They're designing this character overkill. And
20 minutes, you guys could come up with something like this. I mean, bad as it is, it's still impressive that you were able to do it this quickly.
Yeah, that's a cool logo.
Rob, didn't you promise that you would draw and we would do the talking? And when you grow up a little more, you know, we'll let you in there with the grown-ups.
Well, when you were creating characters, Stan,
What process? Longer than you usually take. Well,
therefore we have more than 20 minutes.
I'm trying to find it.
this is probably longer than you usually take. Well, I think
Yeah.
I've got to say seriously, which isn't easy for me to do, but I think it's very impressive that in a matter of 20 minutes you guys could come up with something like this. I mean, bad as it is, it's still impressive that you were able to do it this quickly.
In this clip as well, which I can't find right now, Stan also asks them, what's the difference between overkill and like your 10 other characters that you've made? Because the Liefeld school, the Liefeld McFarlane school of design requires you making a character incredibly superficially with zero thoughts as to how much you could, how much deeper their themes could go. They had a character called Overkill. Instead of like talking about him, fleshing out his background and being like, hey, he's called Overkill, but maybe he's super muted, but his entire power is that when he goes super powered, he gets like a strength bonus or something for overkilling an opponent. There could have been more. I'm giving 30 seconds to this, but there could have been more. They used 20 minutes to make garbage. That's who Rob Liefeld is. If you wanted to know, now you know. And now that I've made you a little bit more depressed, let's talk about what Rob Liefeld had to say on the internet. I should say Rob Liefeld. Actually, before I go on, I should say this before I like actually be a dick about it. I still think Rob Liefeld, for all the negative things about him, for all the negative things about Rob Liefeld, for all the negative things about who he is, Rob and Todd McFarlane created Image Comics. Image Comics is probably the biggest boon to comics in a lot of ways that we ever gotten at the time, because Rob and Todd believed in making comics that you believed in, that you liked. Not just rehashing the same old things from a dozen years ago, not just remaking a new fucking Fantastic Four, making things because you liked making things. And for that, I have a lot of respect for both of them. Okay? Okay. I want to just make sure I say that, because I think it would be unfair to not bring that up. I should also say that Rob and Todd are also responsible for Spawn, a comic that has on many occasions insensitively talked about lynching, God, racial tensions, historical situations, and science. But whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, let's talk about what Rob Liefeld had to say last week. Also, hello, Phoenix Metal. I'll explain what's going on in a second. Rob Liefeld said, the next gen, gotta be honest, had to cut ties with a number of new talent this past spring and summer. Several of these, the work will never see the light of day. I'm having it redone. The connective tissue is the age. These are individuals who are of an age between millennials and Gen Z. The talents I let go are terrible with directions. They love to argue. They have zero accountability, no matter how polite I share and I write every exchange as if it would be shared in public. The reactions are a style and manner that I haven't encountered before. I go out of my way to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. I spoon feed them the info and directions. But the snap and deflection is unlike anything I've ever encountered in 36 years. I've had a great track record breaking all manner of talent. Breaking talents just means like helping people get into the industry. But I had a number of years I have a great track record breaking all manner of talents over 3 decades. But man, this is a whole new era. I'm learning that I don't have the patience for the petulant behavior. Add to the fact that I pay top rates. I'm not looking for bargains. Makes me wonder what will become of the industry over the next decade. I've been really fortunate to work with so many great talents over the course of my career. But this is a whole new era that has a different standard of the dread entitlement. My New York accent is terrible. I just like doing it because I think it's funny. That's a terrible accent. It's the accent I keep saying is a New York accent when it's not. Rob is talking about the entitlement of creators in comics, is the point that I'm getting to here. And if you were wondering where we're at, that's where we're talking about Rob Liefeld. We haven't even started talking about call to action. We talk about call to action at the end of the day. Also, when you're still drawing Korg's cough, you're still drawing the call to action contest? Do you want to die? What the fuck? It's due in like a day. It's due in like a day. What the fuck? Dude. For the call to action is the Webtoon Action Comics Contest. That's it. That's all it is. Webtoon's Action Comics Contest. We will talk about that later because I do have some thoughts. Korgs don't die. Fuck. Anyway, I hope it's just one scene. It's a one-shot comic, not just one scene. You have to draw a whole one-shot comic about 60 panels. It's got to have action in it, pretty good action, and it's a contest, and it's it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Anyway, so I just read. I'm adding my text. I finished drawing yesterday. Nice to see it. Anyway, I just read the Rob Liefeld post. Rob Liefeld post. Rob Liefeld was talking about it about the fact that about what he considers to be the idea that all the newer comic creators he's encountered recently are entitled, and he thinks the industry is going to get ruined by entitlement. I don't know who he's been working with. Maybe Rob has genuinely had some really bad experiences working with some really terrible people, and I hope he hasn't. I hope he's just wrong and old and dumb, but there's a chance that he's right, and that's unfortunate. There's nothing more annoying than working with somebody who suck. But I just want to say something real quick. Most millennials and Gen Z people I know are the hardest working comic creators I've ever fucking met in my life. The only people I think who work harder than them are like old school, like guys who worked at DC that I madly respect, who still make indie comics on a regular. But the hardest working comic writers, artists I've ever met in my life are all Gen Z millennial. And it reminds me of that one episode of that Marvel Netflix show that they did. It was called, it had a scene in it called The Marvel Method, right? Called The Marvel Method. And in it, there was this writer in there, in the Marvel Method show, that was causing tons of delays. Like, I don't know if you guys remember that thing. All right, Korgs, I'll see you later. I don't know if you guys remember that thing, but like, remember the Marvel Method thing where, this was like a year or two ago, where they showed an episode where they're talking about how long the creative process is, and it was just this one writer who kept pushing deadlines back and back and back, and he was like in his 60s, and they kept him hired. And they were like, "Oh, you're such a scamp, buddy." And it's like, I'm remembering, I'm very vividly remembering, like, the Batman, the DC artist, the DC artist who used to draw Batgirl, who was excluded from a lot of conversations, not given enough time to finish her comic, and then eventually fired despite her working for less pay than his average. Like, it's a strange industry for somebody to come out of there and be like, kids are entitled when old people are entitled. It's like real boomer energy, like Rob's got going on. Like, I don't think, maybe he's had some really bad experiences, but I don't know. I'm asking you guys this too as a genuine question. Do you think the people in our generation, in our general generation, are entitled comic creators? Legitimately. Have you met people like that? Have you met people who are hard to work with, who are terrible at like working together, who don't take instruction? Is that a normal thing that happens to you? You know, I just want to know, because in fairness to Rob, these people aren't creative partners with him. They're employees. He's paying them to make a thing. He wrote a comic. He scripted the entire thing. He gave it to them. He said, draw this, draw that. And he's paying them to draw this and draw that. So in many ways, maybe he's got a point, but I don't know. I just want to see. I don't know about comic creators, but the young kids in my gen, they can be. I don't think Gen Z has, like, I'm not going to lie. I think Gen Z has it really hard, so I'm not going to say that much. But I hear you. I see your point. From Misty Nix. Also, don't just say unfortunately yes. I want you to give me more details than unfortunately yes. Like, say more. Give me an example, Justin. Because, like, the statement of entitlement is very vague. Statement of entitlement is incredibly vague. I know enough people who will tell me that asking for pay for your work is entitlement. I know that at my current job, if I tell them to pay me the extra that they're supposed to pay me every month, they think that I'm being a dick. So I want you to be specific of what you mean by entitlement. Misty Nick says no more than other generations. From Sean McFarland, it's funny. And I want to be honest, I love all of your opinions. I respect Sean's opinion a lot more than a lot of you, because he's like trad comics, if I remember correctly. Like, he's actually published something. From Sean McFarland, it's funny because the establishment at the time of Liefeld's peak viewed him and his cohorts the same way. History repeating. Yes, good. So it wasn't just me that thought that. Thank God. From Sola, listen, older generations call us entitled because we don't want to take bullshit that they expect us to take, and they take respect way too fucking far. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's the thing. I hope none of us become that. From Phoenix Metal, I think he has a point if he's talking about what he's experienced. But when he makes it sound so broad, it sounds like a boomer complaining. Yeah, and I want to be honest, this is a Facebook post, and I've read underneath the post, and there are some people here that are so, like, people whose names that I know. The people whose names that I know. Like, there's a comment here from Henry Barajas, who I actually know, who works in the comic space. Like, not personally, I mean, just I've seen his name around. And he says, as a millennial who worked during the 2008 financial collapse and pandemic, I disagree. I started working when I was 16. The comic book industry doesn't do a good job of showing people how to be professional. No one is ever held accountable, and most of the workforce enters when they're young. I hope you find more reliable talent. Like, I think that's a meaningful statement. So I don't know. Like, I think that's a more meaningful response. You know, like, that's like a thing to think about. A lot of maybe he's working with young people, like very young people, and they don't know how to be professional, but they're not like mad at him. He's just taking it the wrong way. You know, that's a thing. And there was another one. There was one that really pissed me off. And I want to find it because I wanted you to be mad. Like, from I wanted to make sure I can say this person's name. No, I can't say her name. She works at AT&T, and I'm gonna dox her. But some lady in the comments was like, oh, you're talking about the spoiled generation that wants to know what's for dinner before deciding if that's what they will accept to eat, regardless if that's all there is to eat. Like, what the fuck? What is this conversation? Like, in comics, this is not what we should fucking be. I don't know. Rob, I'm from Momo GG. Rob probably has some survivor bias. Rob definitely has survivorship bias. Rob Liefeld is one of a handful of people who made it out of his generation of comic creators and also isn't dead. Most of them quit or died. So, like, I don't, I just, from Amulets in chat, most of the comic creators I know make comics for free. Yeah, I know. That's already, in and of itself, big work. So, I don't know. From Misty Nix again in chat, here's a fun thing. How do you think people have been saying no one wants how long do you think people have been saying no one wants to work anymore? Oh, I know that one. I just did an economic talk like 20 minutes ago. Of course I know that one. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that one up. I think Rob is a little bit fucking wrong. But when is he not wrong? He's Rob fucking Liefeld. He's always wrong. I have a lot of respect for him as a creator. I have a lot of respect for him as a fellow creative individual. I have a lot of respect for him as a person. But also in a lot of ways, I think he's a moron. I think that's fair. Sometimes the only times I ever really take Rob's opinion very seriously is when it comes to a handful of things, like very specifically like industry standards or something like that, but not much else. Yeah, I know. I don't even want to think about that right now. But I think Rob maybe had some really bad experiences and it's shaping his view of stuff. And, that's a bit of a bummer. Nobody deserves to work with shitty people. And as someone who's worked with a lot of shitty people, nobody deserves to work with shitty people. Like one of the shittiest people I ever worked with watches this podcast. I know they still do because they DM me and you don't know who you are. So I'm not going to tell you. One of the shittiest people I ever worked with watches this podcast and I absolutely fucking hate working with them. They're like they are terrible. They cause me intense stress. And I can imagine like when you're working on multiple projects like Rob Liefeld would probably be doing, it must be frustrating as hell to work with somebody who is like just not doing what they not doing what you agreed on, really. I think that must suck ass. Anyway, that's the stuff I wanted to talk about regarding Rob Liefeld. Some of it must have been his own boomer bad. Oh, probably. Yeah, let's make Twitch chat to a game of Among Us. Who's the imposter, horrible coworker? I'm not going to tell you, and it's not the two people who think it's them. Also, thanks for the follow, Gay Stars. Anyway, cool. So, as I started this podcast telling you, our industry is dying. Our industry is dying. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because our industry is dying because of a set number of, not dying, correction. Our industry is not dying. Our industry is floundering, like a lot of content production industries in the current day and age. They are floundering and making bad decisions. And this is me transitioning to a new topic, by the way, so we're no longer talking about Rob Liefeld, just so you know. They're floundering and making a lot of bad decisions. The comics and the comics industry as a whole is doing that. Content production as a whole is doing that. And when earlier we were talking about how, they bought a lot of companies on debt and now they're having to pay that back and it's fucking with their overheads and now they're firing people to make up for it. But here's something I forgot to tell you. Here's some news. Breaking news. Webtoon didn't tell anyone what the call to action contest was. Yay. So if you didn't know this, and of course you're probably one of the million people who didn't know this, because I found this out like yesterday. Like yesterday when I was trying to get some information about the call to action contest from some people, somebody said something to me that really like got me to realize that nobody was looking. Like nobody was watching the contest. Nobody was paying attention anymore. And it was when I was talking to a pal, a friend, if you will, a friend of the show. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I remove the things that keep trying to do a display of a screen, but it's not letting me do that. Sorry. Everyone, I always forget it's a live stream when I'm doing this. and make these strange mistakes. Okay, it's just not fucking working. Cool. It's just not working. Okay. That's annoying. Sorry, guys. Random technical difficulty. Give me a mo. Give me a mo. From low tier loser. Low tier loser. Why did you say huh? Because I'm about to talk about Webtoon not marketing the call to action contest, but you sound like you have a thought, and I would love to hear it while I'm talking about this. Okay, cool. Back on, everything's fixed. Anyway, Webtoon has not been marketing their call to action contest very well. In terms, I talk a lot on this show about how Webtoon's marketing is fucking terrible, but it didn't really dawn on me until recently. So today's episode wasn't supposed to be this. I was supposed to talk to you about economics, the downturn of the economy, the world suddenly ending around us, the fact that a recession is coming in the next year or so. You should probably prepare yourself for that. I wanted to talk to you guys today about call to action comics, if I'm honest with you. So I wanted to talk about. Like, I just wanted to talk to you about call to action webcomics. I had a few that I enjoyed, and most of them I didn't really care about. And then when I want to talk about it, I tried to ask my friends, my buddies, my pals, my muchachos, my amigos, I decided to ask them, hey, bud, any comics that you liked that I haven't seen? Maybe there's something I haven't seen. Maybe something I'm missing out on. And my buddies, my pals, my muchachos, my amigos, my friends, and also everyone in my Discord who I pinged, nobody had anything to really say about the contest, as far as I could remember. I told people to talk to me so I could put their recordings about their thoughts in today's show, but nobody really had any thoughts on the contest. And I asked them why, and then they told me it's because they haven't been reading it. And I was like, why haven't you been reading it? Why haven't you been keeping track? The short story contest, people were reading. The contest before that, people were reading. Why haven't you been reading? And then all of them came back to me and told me, it's just not been brought up. And I asked them how. And then I decided to finally open the goddamn Webtoon app. And if you open the app, take your friend's phone. Don't minimize my screen. Take your friend's phone, open the Webtoon app, and notice that the call to action contest is so far hidden away that it's hard to even see. Like, if you're not paying attention, you won't even know it's happening. It's not even the #1 banner on the platform, despite it being a contest that offers $50,000. And as far as I've been understanding it, from some of the people's work I've been looking around, from some of the contracts I've been reading, from some of the things I've been learning about recently, the call to action contest, much like a lot of the call to action contest isn't even about, like, from Webtoon's perspective, doesn't seem to be about like nurturing or finding a new talent. When I started season 2, I said the call to action comics are specifically being made because Webtoon is trying to find a new superstar or set of superstars that they can use to continue to push their comic in the Western market where action is incredibly popular, right? They're trying to find their own solo leveling, their own version, the original English language version of solo leveling, right? And then, and I was right at the time, and I still think I'm right, but Webtoon has also shown very clearly that this isn't just about that. And I think it's not only is Webtoon the one doing this, I think it's evidence of how we're going to see maybe soonish a behavior that is very similar to what Tokyo Pop recently did. Very, very similar to what Tokyo Pop recently did. With Tokyo Pop, and also recently, I think they did it before too, but with Tokyo Pop basically trying to act as like an IP farm or like an IP farm where they essentially get you to sign up with them, and then they take a bunch of your IP for themselves. Webtoon seems to be wanting to move in that direction, either being able to take a bunch of your IP or focusing on finding a way to make in-house stuff. That means that they don't have to do any IP sharing with people outside the company. And I talked about this. I talked about this a while ago. I talked about this to all of you. I talked about this like an episode ago. I talked about how a lot of platforms are focusing entirely on internally produced content. And more, I'm beginning to feel like the call to action contest is literally just an example of Webtoon basically trying to like find a new route, to get a few new names in, and then get them to sign a contract that lets Webtoon keep most of the IP, or at least enough of the IP. And they'll use that to fund their profits, and that's all they give a shit about. I think that's all they care about legitimately. This contest is more of a sham. It's the most low-key content I've ever run. They couldn't give a shit about it. They don't promote it. They don't promote the content that comes out of it. There is no fanfare. I don't remember anyone talking about it. Most people aren't even reading it. Everyone who I've talked to in the past month about it has only told me they've read the things that I told them to read, which you still should. You still should read Kaiju Heart and My Superhero, because Jessica Page Dawson and the creator of Kaiju Heart are fucking phenomenal creators, you know? But like, that's a little bit worrying, isn't it? It's a little bit worrying, at least to me. I don't know about you guys. Let me just read some comments. Chief, I swear it feels like nobody cares about that contest. Very different vibe from the short story contest. Indeed, low tier loser. And from Misty, I think action scenes alone are just not appealing as things like short stories, not being hidden away. I think not only is the action scene not interesting, I think another problem is that it's one chapter. There's no time for investment. There's no time for investment. Readers, like in an increasingly influencer-based market, readers treat comics as an influencer production. This is the YouTube equivalent of making a video, right? Do readers treat comics like that? They care a lot about the creators and they care a lot about the content that they make from those specific creators, right? It's an influencer marketing scheme, and a big part of influencer content production and how it attracts users is that it's consistent. Consistent doesn't mean every week or anything. It's just consistent enough. Like, we all went onto YouTube once a year to watch that one video of the guy dancing to September by Earth, Wind and Fire every 21st of September. We all did that. I did that. And if you say you didn't do that, you were lying to yourself. But that was consistent. He did it every year, so we came every year. Consistency is key, not frequency, right? For influencer marketing. Although frequency leads rise to a more easily learned consistency quicker. That's it. I hope I'm not using too much jargon. I hope I'm not being too confusing. I'm trying to make sure I keep all the like 3-syllable words down, but every time I lose my mind, I start doing that. I want to make sure everyone understands where I'm coming from. Not because I think you're dumb, but because I don't want to make this inaccessible. And you know, this contest, let me see that. They took the contest banner off the main page a bit ago. You have to go to the Canvas tab now. Wait, really? I actually didn't notice that. Oh shit. Good to know. That causes me a lot of pain. Like one and done, but this one and done system, this thing doesn't pull you in. And for me, it establishes that companies like Webtoon, Tapas, Tokyo Pop, all these people don't actually understand what this industry is. Like, they don't fucking understand what this industry is in any single way whatsoever. It was reflected to me no stronger than when I was sitting down on Twitter and I got into a stupid argument on Twitter that I just kind of stopped dead in its track as soon as I could, because I don't like having arguments with people on Twitter, because no one changes their mind from Twitter. But it was a conversation about Webtoon's weekly unique browser statistic and how it uses that statistic to track and pay feature creators, right? And it reminded me of something very interesting. So if you guys don't understand how Webtoon treats things, I want to just show you guys. I want to just get you guys to understand that Webtoon uses this weekly unique browser system, right? These weekly. Okay. I'll get to everyone's questions and big comments in a second. I just want to make sure I finish this thought. Okay. Webtoon uses this weekly unique browser system to kind of track people reading the comic, right? But the way weekly unique browsers works is this: if you open a comics page, let's say you open the page for My Superhero by Jesse Page Dawson, because Jesse is a star, and I'm much like my favorite comic, Blackburn. I will never take a moment to not promote it. When you open one of these comics, right? When you open one of these comics, what happens immediately is you come to the page, right? You come to the page, and Webtoon counts visiting this page as a unique browser visit, right? Every single chapter you read doesn't add counters to the unique browser visits. What adds a counter to it is if a reader reads a chapter, leaves, comes back later, and reads a new chapter. Those are 2 unique browser visits. Because Webtoon doesn't treat this page, doesn't treat each comic as its own page. It treats this page, visiting this page, as one visit. So you can read every single chapter and it only counts as one unique visit, right? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is that is indicative of not of a situation where the platform, yeah, pretty much cover zombie. And that's it. And for me, that's why I'm bringing this up, especially in relation to the previous topic we were talking about. It's indicative of the fact that during this entire call to action content, just in general, platforms like Webtoon and Tapas don't understand how to utilize their platforms in an effective way to achieve high quality results. As in, like when it comes to environments like comics, which is just an influencer content production space, they are trying to create an environment where people are making content constantly over and over and over and over again, right? But then they're not like capitalizing on each instance of content being made, and they're trying to essentially turn every creator into the marketing scheme and the marketing backbone of the company, essentially making it so that they're not responsible for pulling readers to the platform. You are. They can make shitty fucking ads. Webtoon can sit down and make shitty ads all day and suck at getting new readers in and never make anything to attract new people in. But it's your fault that new readers aren't coming in because you're not making the right kind of content. It's a system. It's a mentality. It's a system that is self-fulfillingly bad. It is a decision-making process that is indicative of a group of people who don't understand what they're working with, don't fucking care to understand what they're working with, and are willing to sink every single one of us for every last dollar that they can. They went into debt to buy Wattpad, and it didn't do shit for them. It didn't get them anything. They went into debt to buy a Wattpad. It didn't get them fucking anything, right? At least not yet and not for a while. But they did it because infinite growth, gotta make money. And like now, we're left holding the bag. We're left being the ones blamed for the fact that the platform isn't getting new readers. And then our pay is getting docked because they can't do their own goddamn jobs. And then they say it's our fault that we're not getting enough weekly unique browser visits. I don't fucking know. Anyway, let me read some of the comments people brought up. Remember that Webtoon removed the CTA banner halfway through the contest and people on Twitter had to beg for Webtoon to bring it back from Sakura? Yeah, it was so fucking dumb. And from Teebs, yes, I was saying the same. One and done doesn't pull you in. They even tell you to make multiple episodes. Why just one for an action series? Because, Teebs, I have to be honest with you, this contest is exclusively there for them to find some person that they can take a bunch of IP off of and tell everyone else to go fuck themselves. From Sola, of course they don't. Oh, they see the potential money, and I feel like they're ruining it for everyone. They totally are. And from Low Tier Loser, this is off topic, remember, where do you see Webtoon in a year? Or changes that will come since you seem to be on the ball with your predictions. My predictions are fucking shit. But if you ask me where I think Webtoon's going, no fucking joke. I know for a fact that right now they're making a bunch of in-house content with DC. I think that the future of Webtoon, at least in the near future, is a lot of DC-based, a lot of in-house made content. I know for a fact how much they're paying some of the people who work in-house. I know for a fact that, and I'm just going to reveal this, a few years ago, they have to pay my friend $60,000 to draw what I think is now Rotten Ruin. Like, it was $60,000 for a year, but that was really good money. Okay? I know for a fact that, like, that's how they operate. So I'm seeing them very much going into in-house content production. And that's very worrying because the thing with in-house content production is you can lie. You can lie about who's making it. You can pretend that it's being made by someone else. You can create a whole fake influencer backing the internally made content, right? And that fake influencer will be the one everyone loves. And that person might never even touch the comic. They may never even have written a single chapter of it. They may never even have drawn a single line of it. But they're the influencer for getting the views. And then you have a bunch of other people who are toiling nonstop, translating, localizing, drawing, doing everything, getting underpaid like shit. Just like the Webtoon could put out their multiple comics. And that's where I see this going. I don't put it past Webtoon. I don't put it past this company. And oh God, I can't wait for you to understand why I don't like them so much. Anyway, and more content from a question from Jenny Tunes. That's why I was really surprised when they asked for only one episode. Considering the limits on the site, entry should have been longer and match up with the standard manga one shot at least. You are correct. The fact that they made everything this this one upload giant long page. It was so, and also I want to be real with you. The one upload giant long page thing is exhausting to read. I love all of your comics. I love My Superhero by Jesse Page Dawson. I love Blackburn by Momo Gigi Radar. I would never fucking read 110 panels of that shit. Because in one sitting, that's exhausting. It's exhausting. God. Like this content format sucks. Yeah, binging kills creators. Binging kills creators on Tumblr. Yeah, binging kills creators on most platforms that are in YouTube. The way Webtoon is counting the statistics is so dumb. Like, it's so badly done. And like, it's also in part the way they ineptly serving ads. They serve ads in a terrible way. They market their content terribly. They count their statistics horribly, so they can underpay creators. Like, I was explaining this to my girlfriend, and my girlfriend sat there with me in the call. I was explaining to her what they were doing, and she said it sounds like they're purposefully trying to look like they're making less money, and purposely trying to leave a bag on the table. And she's fucking right. I didn't even tell her too much. Imagine going to dead by fucking Wattpad. How sad is that? Webtoon just wants to get lucky and one of those 5,000 and hope one of those 5,000 content entries blow up. Yes, from Cover Zombie in chat. Yes, that is true. In fact, in Indonesia, they've already done that. In the Indonesian comic space is very similar to what we're going to be getting over the next couple of years. A lot of internal, in-house, mostly Webtoon-owned content, pumping in and out constantly. Everyone getting paid very, very low price to make original content for the front page, with hundreds of comics coming out every week. So very few people actually get any visibility, and only the really big lucky ones do. And then they take those lucky ones, they buy a bunch of the IP, like they bought 20% of the unordinary IP, and then they fuck off with it. And then they can make their bag, and then everyone else can go fuck themselves in the river. In order to grow on Webtoon, you're pretty much required to promote yourself on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Yes, Justin, and it's dumb. It's absolutely fucking stupid. It's absolutely fucking infuriating, because the problem is you're not marketing your content. Like, this is the issue for me. You're not marketing what you're making. You're not selling. You're not being like, hey, look, I made this. Come and read this. You're literally saying, come to Webtoon, please. Maybe you will get to see my work. That's usually what you're marketing if you're a canvas creator. And if you're a feature creator, I used to think you guys had it good. And most of you, and not most of you, some of you really do. But feature creators, I feel so bad for you, because you guys literally shook hands with the devil and you didn't even know at the time. I'm actually quite sad. From Misty Nix. Something annoying I've noticed with Webtoon contests is that it's mainly safe comics that win. The short stories were more exploratory, but that's because it wouldn't continue past those few episodes. There have been amazing stories at the forefront of the contest, but they get put to the side for generic fantasy. Misty, I don't like to use that kind of thinking. I think that a lot of the people who won deservedly won and made really good stuff. I'm not saying that because of friends in the industry. Everyone who knows me knows that I couldn't give a shit about my friends in the industry. I piss on their comics constantly. It's more because I think genuinely what came out of the contest was a lot of people doing their best. It was a difficult choice to make, and Webtoon's going to make the ones that they think are more popular with their audience. It wasn't safe content. It was stuff that fit the Webtoon audience more, based on what Webtoon thought would fit the Webtoon audience more. I do not think that they were putting aside good content for generic fantasy. I know for a fact that a lot of good content has gone up, a lot of interesting content has gone up, a lot of nice new things have gone up. I am a fan of comics like Boyfriends, Dragon of the End, and both of those are featured. Like, there's featured stuff that's good. And if you don't like Boyfriends and you want to tell me why you don't like Boyfriends, get off my dick. Anyway. From Cloudy Magpie, I'm wondering if they're going to start pushing CTA views in August, since that's when they have listed as the judging period. I think right now it's just for submissions for entries, at least I hope. During the last couple of contests, that's not what they've done. It wouldn't make sense to do that, because the comics at that point would all be at the very least a month old, if not at the oldest 2 months old. It wouldn't really make sense for that to be their push period. I don't know. I will not download Insta for my comics. You don't have to. From Amulets, there's not a lot of point promoting for a platform. The creators don't benefit from it, only the platform does. Indeed, it's almost like a platform's job is to make people like them. Like, I want you guys to understand something. During this, sorry, I just got a call. During this contest, sorry, I just got a call. I just got interrupted. Sorry about that. During this entire COVID period, Webtoon has pretty much not done a lot of marketing. Like they've done a few things. They did the marketing in the buses and train station. But I mean, like during COVID, main COVID time, the marketing they did was largely to their already existing fan base. Imagine you've never read a comic before, and I start telling you about Lore Olympus. Would you give a shit? No. I need to convince you to come and read comics. Where was the introductory, the brand marketing? If you don't know what brand marketing is, there's a thing in marketing and advertising where you market the brand. You're just trying to sell the idea of the entire brand to people. So Webtoon would basically be telling people, hey, look, guys, we make comics. Come and read them. Come and read comics. We're a comic platform. Not selling any specific comics, but showing a few really interesting things and showing how people can get to their app. Like an accessibility marketing tool. Webtoon hasn't done that, and neither has Tapas. So you guys are wondering why like your user bases are dwindling, both of those companies? Because you both fucking suck at marketing. Like, you're so dumb. There's not a lot of point promoting for another comment from Misty Nix. To be clear, I absolutely agree that the stories are good. It's just frustrating that it feels like you can't win the contest if you take a risk with your story. All the great stories I've seen eventually become featured on their own. So obviously Webtoon will take the risk then, but why not for the contest? I don't actually know. I know for a fact that like I know for a fact that like the contest is a great place for experimentation. A lot of people experiment during the contest. Every contest is always a great thing for people like me because you don't see a lot of comics starring minority characters. Almost every comic is generic white, pseudo-white anime person. You know, it's a little bit boring. So it's nice to go to the contest because then you see new and varied and interesting things. And it's a little bit saddening. It's a little bit saddening that like those don't usually get picked up, and things that are interesting and diverse and do new things and try to have interesting looks don't get picked up during the contest because Webtoon just doesn't give a shit. You know, like one of the comics that I really liked out of the contest today was Wasted Water. It's a post-apocalyptic action comic, and I don't like everything about Wasted Water, but I really loved the aesthetic. It was made by Squabosaurus, and like I really liked it. I like the aesthetic, I like the view, I like the thing, but I know it's not gonna win. You know, I liked Biscud by Senapel, K Senapel, and like it's also not gonna get a lot of views on it. It's also not gonna win, so it's a little bit disheartening that like you'll see lots of interesting things and they won't even get the light of day in Webtoon's eye in some ways. It's what it is at this point. Comics are literature's fun side hustle is what Webtoon's idea of brand marketing is. Yeah, you're right. It's fucking dumb. Another comment. I don't know if I will sound dumb, but with both Webtoon and Tapas being shitty at marketing, to me, it feels like how do I say, product of capitalism we live in. You know, I mean, like, you know, who could it? What else could it be? I mean, listen, Sola, capitalism isn't bad. It's good. It's good. The economy is good. Nothing is wrong, and I want you to take that back. Like they're just pumping out generic shit that the mass tolerates and doesn't actually work to improve themselves and to push out interesting, unique stories. Yeah, because interesting, unique stories are risky. That's really it. Interesting and unique is risky. And I want to make something really clear. The reason why Webtoon will post on Twitter about new comics every week, but when In the Bleak Midwinter was coming back from its hiatus, right? When In the Bleak Midwinter was coming back from its hiatus, and they had made an ad, and they went to Webtoon and said, "Hey, can you post it for us? Because we're coming back and we're a featured comic." And Webtoon said no to them, and didn't market her comic for a while, right? The reason why Webtoon will focus on marketing like all those newer comics or their visit to VidCon or whatever the fuck is because those things are new. New attracts more people than established. That they do for a fact. And that's always the thing. New things always attract more people than established things do. But unfortunately, Webtoon is a platform, and Webtoon figured that out. You know, they figured out that new things attract people more than established things do. And then Webtoon's follow-up to that was to go, that means new things are the only good thing. And then proceeded to exclusively do what they considered to be new things. Hold on, sorry. Somebody just posted and went to my server and then posted a bunch of links to their... What the fuck? Ugh, whatever, I'm tired. One of my mods is in chat. Can one of my mods in chat go into the server and delete all the shitty fucking Discord links that somebody posted in our server and then ban them? Thanks a lot. But yeah, like new things are just considered to be risk. New things are considered to be not risky, and they attract more people. And as long as they're generic enough, they'll attract a ton of people. It's very upsetting. From low tier loser in chat, then that same unique risky story that pops off gets like 100 clones made of it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, low tier loser. You know, there's a reason why we have like 1 million isekai stories, 1 million villainess stories, 1 million villain stories, because like those things are generic enough to go everywhere. You know, those things were mega generic. Those things were mega generic. They could go everywhere. And Webtoon, and when they were made because they were low risk in idea, and they were easy to get around to multiple people. It's kind of sad. Also, Somni, I'm glad to see that you're here as I'm complaining about your problems to other people. I hope you don't mad at me for it. The thing about the ITBMW thing was told to me by a good friend who's also one of my YouTube friends, Somniatica, who you should go check out her channel. She makes great webcomic stubs. Somniatica. I also saw Rosie Bird earlier. I also saw Tyler. You should also watch Rosie Bird TV on YouTube. Okay, cool. That's me shouting out my YouTube friends. Going on. We are in a weird place in the industry right now. We're in a weird place. And I don't want to be depressing. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to make you guys feel bad. That's a lie. I kind of do. I kind of do a little bit. I kind of want to make you feel a little bit bad, but I don't really want to make you feel terrible. But like, we're in a very volatile state in our industry. The established media, our established creators are calling newer creators, entitled because they don't want to overwork, or because they've had some bad experiences and they refuse to like understand how hard it currently is for a lot of new creators breaking into the industry because of their survivorship bias. Our platforms are pissing all over us, right, at this very moment. It feels hopeless, like Georgie says it in chat. To be honest, it feels a bit pointless. Like, you know, they're doing all these things and we're experiencing all these problems, and like it makes it feel like there's no point in making anything. And I get it. I do these podcasts in part for catharsis. Like I live stream this once a week. I ignore everything else to do these live streams because once a week I need some catharsis. I need to feel like I'm not crazy. Like all the bad shit that's happening is not all in my head, and that everyone else thinks it's bad too. Because that catharsis allows me to be like, okay, maybe we're gonna be fine. If everyone else does this fucking crazy, when we get a little bit more power, as we're all gonna get a little bit more power, as we all get older, as we all move higher up in the industry, maybe this shit's gonna stop, or at least reduce in amount. I'm just hoping. I'm just hoping so much. You know, like that's all I've got to hold on to. Anyway, also to fully read out Georgie's comment. It's pointless for the call to action contest feels pointless because Webtoon has their romance stuff that they will continue to shill until the end of time because it makes them a ton of money, which is true, Georgie. And all the action stuff will just be forgotten. You're right. That's actually quite true. But Boxer was doing really well for them, so I think that's why they're really trying to push their action stuff. Listen, as a broke creative person, self-publishing isn't available for me, and I'm sure many others. And when I tell you I was so fucking sad I had nowhere to post my comics, Tapas sucks, Webtoon sucks, Legend sucks. Sola, they suck, but you should still post on them. Like, don't post with Legend. Don't actually sign a contract. Don't sign a contract with Legend. Don't sign a contract with Legend. Do not do that at any cost. But you should still post on them for free. Post everywhere you can. Get your content out there. Make things everywhere you possibly can. Draw on fucking 2x4, or fucking A4 if you can. Like, I know it's not great right now. I know it's hard, but like, you're a creative. You're a creative. And I'm not saying kill yourself for creativity, but you're a creative who wants to make stuff. Don't let the fact that the shit that's going on right now, stop you from continuing to make stuff. Make things. Make them as often as you can, wherever you can, on whatever you can. I'm begging you. I don't care if it's shit. I don't care if it's the Mona Goddamn Lisa, which isn't even that good of a painting, but you know what I mean. I don't care what quality it is, but the more you make things, the better things will be, because then people won't stop making them. It's very discouraging, but don't let that beat you down into the ground. Also, Ajani, I'm not gonna lie, from a brother to another brother, I wish we got our powers last year. Oh, I wish we got our powers last year, dude. I was waiting to float. I was waiting to float, babe. My mod Jenny, me and my mod Jenny would have been like all over, just like Thanos snapping people out of existence. God, that was so fun. Oh, yes! I just got a friend of mine who was running a contest for the call to action contest. Finally sent me their comic. I've been waiting for. Good, because I told her to make them kiss when they fight. So I'm gonna read that. From Rock Lobster Zero in chat, can I get your and everyone's opinions on Legend? I want to look at them a little bit. I'm not planning to try. I'm trying to publish them, but yeah, I'm just curious. Legend is they're not good. Don't go near them. Also, they take a lot of IP ownership. I have no problem with giving away IP ownership. I've on this show before told people your IP isn't worth that much. You should probably sell it. I've said that to a lot of people before in this chat, in this community. I love you who are watching this stuff. I've said it before that you should sell your goddamn IP because it ain't worth shit, right? Yellow card for name dropping. Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna cut it out later. I'm gonna cut out later. Sorry, Mama. But I've cut out a lot of. I've told all people to sell their IP because it's not worth that much. But also at the same time, even though your IP isn't worth that much, don't let a company like rent your IP from your hands. Like, don't let them do it. And Legend is a company that does that a lot, notoriously. Notoriously so. So like I wouldn't trust them as far as I would throw them. Also, IP means intellectual property. Intellectual property. Please make sure to know all the keywords. Keywords are really important. People don't talk to you in this industry without a lot of keywords. So just know most of them. IP is a really big one. Your intellectual property is the thing that you make. So the comic, the characters, everything to do with the thing that you make, your comic, everything to do with your comic is your IP. Everything in this video is my IP. Or at least it's IP that I have licensed to use under my name. Right? And when it all put together in this unique format, it becomes my IP. This video is my IP. This character that I use to represent myself is my IP. So just be aware of that. It's not copyright. It's kind of different. IP refers to all aspects of the intellectual property. Copyright is a very specific. Is a very specific set of legal rights that protect your IP. So IP is the thing that's protected by copyright, but IP isn't copyright. I would recommend that you should genuinely read a little bit more about it. Cool. I'm just making sure I'm getting to all my topics of the day because I have like a whole bunch. I have like 40 different tabs open. Make sure I hit everything I wanted to talk about today. We've had a really depressing show. I'm sorry, not sorry. On one hand, I don't like having depressing shows. They make me depressed. They make me sad. I don't like having a sad show. I want to have a good show where I'm laughing and I'm enjoying myself. But I'm not gonna come here and lie to you people. Like, let me push up that parasocial relationship. You're my pals. You're my colleagues. You're my co-creators. I don't want you guys to get fucked. This is why I still do this show every week. But like, so as part of, as a commiserate, as a me making it up to you, right? I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about call to action contest comics that I love, that I really enjoyed. I have a few. I've talked about the other ones I enjoyed before. So I'm not going to retread the old ones, although I should probably get all those links and then I'll put them on the Discord server and I'll just post them all in one channel because today I'm doing a bunch of stuff for self-promotion. So I'll do that in there. But I think that's something that we can all get behind, and it'll be nice. It'll be nice for us to talk about something that we enjoy, something that's fun. So I can stop being depressed for 30 seconds. Like that's the hope. I have a very pleasant voice to listen to. That's worrying. My voice should not be pleasant. My voice should be grating like the sun exploding around you. I'm gonna promote some comics that I really like to read, just in general, and some creators, some people's work who I really like. That are in the contest and not in the contest. But mostly people who are in the contest. Okay, cool. So I'm just trying to organize my tabs right now, just so I have everything appropriately organized to make sure I'm putting all the contest stuff up front and all the stuff that isn't the contest at the end. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, let's go over all the comics that I actually really liked out of the contest that I have for today that is still on my mind. Also, what did I think of Annihilate the Demon King? The Demon Lord. Let me actually check. I wrote it. I have a list where I write everything down. So let me actually see, because I don't remember what I thought about it, but that might not be a good thing. Sorry, I'm opening the Excel spreadsheet. I think I enjoyed it, but I don't remember much other than that. I think it just says, oh, kind of fun. That's what I wrote down. That's what I wrote down. Because I did read it, and I thought it was like really poggers in terms of how well it was made. The work into it and everything. But I think it just didn't latch itself onto me. The art was good. But anyway, don't worry. We'll talk about that in a second. I'll showcase all that stuff in literally like a second. I promise. Cool. I'll put it on the list so I make sure I talk about that one. Okay, cool. Let's start talking about them. Let's start with my obvious number 1 and number 2. And they swap spaces every time anyway. From the illustrious, the beautiful, the wonderful Jesse Page Dawson, my superhero. It's fucking good. I don't really have much else to say. I had fun. It was cute. It was funny. It was in many ways just the kind of stuff that really triggers that really butters my biscuits. You know what I mean? Like, it really got me. I just loved it. And contest ends. I don't think anything's gonna top this. But I will also admit that it's in a big. Hey Thomas, what's up? It's in a big fight. Is that the Jesse Page Dawson? Yes, it is. But I should also admit, my superhero is in a big fight with not that one. Kaiju Heart. There you are. Kaiju Heart. Kaiju Heart is so good. I'm sorry, but La Megatouf is so good. The creator of this is French. His name is La Megatouf. It's one of the best bande dessines that I've read in a long time. It really brings out my French. If you don't know, I speak French a little bit. I just don't do it very often in front of anyone. But this comic really just made me feel great. They worked within the constraints that they had so well. They made something so fun to read. The typesetting was wonderful. The lettering was wonderful. The art style, like, look at that logo. Look at that fucking logo. Like, I love all of you, but all of your logos fucking suck compared to this. All of your logos fucking suck compared to this. Like, none of you make stuff like this. I'm sorry. And that's not a slight on you. You're all wonderful, but none of you are Kaiju Heart right this season was for me. No, the fighting was a joke. They're not like fighting. I just mean like in my heart. In my heart, those two fight for first place every single time. So these two are like pretty much my first place picks. Like, not always sure which one it is, but like every day I look at both of these and I'm just like, I read these like twice now, maybe 3 times. Not this account, not using this account though. This is my account I use for streaming so that if somebody sees it, they don't figure out that it's me. But yeah, these two comics always fighting from my heart every day. So that's my superhero and Kaiju Heart. And then I'm going to show you a comic that I actually really liked. This is Wasted Water. This one really like stood out for me over the course of the entire contest. This is Wasted Water. And it has a style. It has a look at it. It's got a vibe. It's got a style. It's got a look. It's the kind of, if you know me, if you know the things I like, you know that this kind of stuff appeals to who I am. You know that this is just me. This is me food. This is food for me. The limited color palette, the stylization, the beautiful, the creepy monster. Like, y'all know me, to some extent, and you know that I have a type. I have a type. And I'm not gonna lie, this is my type of gal. You know, she's pretty, she's dangerous. So I really loved Wasted Water. I'm going to talk about the next comic I really liked, The Curse of the Fire Demon, by a friend of me, really, but also somebody whose work I just really like. This is based on her comic Broccoli Soup, which I think is a really heartfelt, meaningful comic. And I really like the Curse of the Fire Demon. It was a great story. And if you read this and you like it, you should go on and read Secret Pie's other comics. Read Broccoli Soup. It's really good. I'm going to recommend that later. Secret Pie is a member of the server. They're a friend. They're a good person. And they are incredibly creative. And that's just, that's something I want to make sure I say. Cool. Then on to the next one from another friend of mine. But, as all my friends know, if your work is shit, I'll tell you your work is shit to your face. I say it to them all the time. From another friend of mine, Kyo Trash Bunny, he makes 13th Sword. I read it, and in part because it was shown to me. But in and of itself, while it didn't appeal to me in all the ways. Hey guys, my internet just went down and came back. I hope. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Am I still around? Just checking in. My internet just told me that I completely disconnected from the stream and I just reconnected. Checking in. Everyone in chat, just let me know if you're still seeing me, if you're still hearing me, and I can go on. Cool. Great. I'm good. Cool. My stream told me I went down completely, so I'm just checking in. Anyway, cool. But yeah, this comic was really fun to read. I enjoyed it. Everything about 13th Sword was really fun. It just felt really nice and heartfelt, and that's something I really like about comics. Every time you make a comic, if I feel like it came from the heart, I am more likely to just enjoy it because it's something you enjoyed making. That's just the truth. Then Annihilate the Demon Lord. Okay. This is specifically recommended to me by a Johnny West in my YouTube comments. Great. I'm back for YouTube people too. Awesome. This is specifically recommended to me by a Johnny West on my YouTube comments. And I read it, Johnny. I read Annihilate the Demon Lord. And in a lot of ways, this is something that I should like. Maybe when I was 15, I would have loved this comic, but I'm now too old for it, I think. It's got grippingly good art. Like, the art is phenomenal. It's colorful. It's the anatomy is great. The use of the scene, the use of vertical space, not a single sideways goddamn panel. Like, I don't remember there being one, but if I scroll and there's one right now, I'm going to quit life. I'm going to quit life if there's a single sideways panel in this comic. I am not kidding. I will quit. No, oh. Your days are numbered. But the art is, as my 17-year-old students say, bussin'. The art is bussin'. And, a lot of the content here is just is good. The magic looks so magical. And I know that sounds like a redundant phrase, but if you guys know what I mean. Like, it's just, there's so much good going on. The effects, the colors, it's all really good. But unfortunately, I read all of that. I thought all those things when I read it. And when I was done, my first initial reaction was, that was kind of fine. Like, as soon as I was done, I put it down, I walked away. I was like, that was all right. Wasn't that good? And it was just because, like, there was no, what's the thing I'm looking for? There was no body. Like, it was so bombastic and fantastical and beautiful and great to look at. But, like, take me to dinner first, right? Like, before you show me your proverbial, take me to dinner first. That's all I'm saying, right? And this comic didn't feel like it took me to dinner. It didn't feel like it gave me some. It didn't feel like it had just bought me some chicken chow mein. It literally just took me to a hotel room, showed me what was up, and has basically not done anything, and didn't let me rest. There was no time to bask. I don't know. It was gorgeous and amazing, but it just lacked a lot of weight for me. I wish there were more effects. I wish there was more lettering. Like, the lettering was so minimal. Come on, give me the push. Show me that I should get, like, show me why it's exciting. Where's the story? Why are people doing this? What's going on? What's going on? That's how I felt about it, at least. Oh, this is a comic I wanted to show you. This is Biscud. Biscud is one of the is in the contest too. I kind of like the art style of Biscud. Biscud was, in a lot of ways, not my favorite. I actually wasn't super into Biscud as much as I wanted to be, but the woman, like it's hard, guys. It's hard out here for a pimp. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like 30% of my positive opinions is this shot. And then after that, I just kind of rode the high to the end of the comic. And it was good. No, it was good. Woman. Woman. And I rode that high to the end. And I'm sorry if that's a bit of a superficial way to read comics, but also, I'm not sorry. Also, creepy guy hand, not particularly the most fun thing to see, but comic is good though. I liked Biscud. Titties. Titties. Thanks, chat. But yeah, no, the comic was good. I liked it. The style is great. You guys know I'm a sucker for any style that isn't an anime style. The characters were all white, which, isn't a bad thing, but it was just a little bit bland for me. But in general, I was just happy that there were interesting characters and interesting people. And, a lot of the characterization was great. I wish there were more people, but it's what it is. This is from Luxiva, viewer of the show, friend of my heart, keeper of the ring, the Dane. And she's a friend. I have not read this yet, but I was told to tell you, and I'm doing this because she's a friend, but also because I respect her. Her work is always really good. She puts a lot of work behind it. They kiss at the end of the fight. I'm gonna go read this in private time, but just want to let you guys know they kiss. And also this comic, which I had very mixed feelings about. I read this comic and I had a lot of really mixed feelings about it. This is 100%. It's called 100%. That's the name of the comic. It's called 100%. It's basically much like Annihilate the Demon Lord. Basically starts full force into a fight. I'm not super interested in it. The art's not great, but for some reason I just kept reading it. I'm assuming that means I liked it, but I don't know why. In Empress Luxiva's comic, Ashes of the Yearning Dragon, they kiss. But it's a gay kiss. It's a gay kiss. But yeah, in 100%, I don't know. Something about it just didn't draw me into it, but for some reason I kept going. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. I wish I could do a deeper dive into every comic. And then let's talk about some comics that I actually just like to read in general. Just comics I like to read in general, right? They're also all on Webtoon because all my friends upload on Webtoon, but everything I like is also somehow on Webtoon. You should read this. This is Hello Void. This is from a good friend, but also a very emotionally intelligent friend of mine who's very capable of talking about how they feel in this medium. And I think that this comic really does the work very well. I liked it. You should read Hello Void. It's not a call to action contest comic. It's just a regular comic. And I really liked it. And since we're talking about comics that I liked, I thought I'd put a few non-call to action ones that I really liked. This is Broccoli Soup. I really like Broccoli Soup. I've read most, if not all, of Broccoli Soup up to the newest chapter. It is the sweetest thing I've ever read. It is cute. It is wholesome. It is meaningful. It is emotionally honest. You should read it. And you should read this. This is Blackburn by Momojiji Radar. It's also really good. All these creators I've pointed out make other things. Every other creator and all the things that they call to tongue action. Get out, Lux. And all the content I show, all the comics I show you, all have, and I'm saying this with all genuine honesty, emotionally touched me. Like I feel emotionally invested in them. I love the worlds that they inhabit. I love the people that are inside of them. They feel real to me, in a way that only good comics do. And that's how I've always felt, and that's why I'm recommending any of them. If I didn't like any of them for any reason, I would tell you right now. And if for even a moment they didn't make me feel a certain way, I would tell you right now. But I thought I just, we've had a really negative day. I thought I'd talk about some shit that I liked, some shit that made me feel the good feelings. Okay? Yeah. That's today's podcast. That's all the information. That's all the information. So we're at the end. Let's ask some questions. Any questions for me you want to ask me? Doesn't matter what they are. Doesn't matter what they're about. Anything and everything that we've talked about today, please ask me. And if you're watching this video afterwards, please put them in the comments. I usually respond to comments, actually. So please ask me questions in the comments based on things you thought about at any moment during the show. Cool. Question and answer time. Geek Boy says, I just announced the newest chapter that's coming soon on my end. Yeah, Geek Boy, I still read one up. I like it. I'm waiting for you to release a new chapter. That's actually something I'm looking forward to. Let's see. If it's gay, I might read it. Thanks, Pi. What is is like the gay content less than the lesbian content? Why am I saying lesbian like that? Lesbian? Sounds like a country. Oh, God. Okay. I'm waiting for the questions before I close. What always happens is I'm leaving and everyone says they want to ask me every question under the sun. You just thought about how much you love Jesse Page Dawson's comics? Yeah, Jesse Page Dawson is a great creator. JP, for real. Real good. She's very talented. She's very smart. She's very good at what she does. It takes real creative chops to make anything good. It takes real creative chops to make anything. Like a lot of them. Just watching the end. Palisandra from Jesse is pretty good. I think I read Palisandra. You asked me that earlier, Pi. I read Palisandra, but I didn't want to talk about it because it wasn't no longer relevant to their work. I felt like it was something that has brought them where they are. I feel like my superhero is very much their thing. I would say that if you want me to read it specifically and talk to you about it, you should send it to me. It's not about from Cover Zombie's question. If you want me to read it specifically, send it to me. If it's just about like wanting to get your comic out there to people in the community, in our general community, just wait for the self-promo channel. I would be looking in the self-promo channel often in the Discord server, and I'll probably just talk about a few things I see there on here. Because I like seeing new shit. Taking a break from updates to learn CSP. Yeah, dude, CSP is the bomb. As someone who does not like using it at all, I know that it's pretty good. I absolutely hate Clip Studio Paint. I do not enjoy using it in any capacity for anything. All my lettering I do in Illustrator. I literally went through the trouble of learning Illustrator because I hated Clip Studio Paint so much. I fucking hated Clip Studio Paint so much. Don't listen to me though. My opinions on Clip Studio Paint are meaningless. They're meaningless. Yeah. If you guys want me to recommend comics, if you guys think there's something that I would like, you should send them to me. Luxiva, friend of the show, friend of the soul, regularly sends me comics that she's into, and I read them. I read all of them. And they're always delights to engage in. They're always delights to engage in. And if you just want to have a conversation about something that's on your mind that has to do with comics, especially, don't just like tell me your life story. I'm not a psychiatrist. If you want to talk to me about like your comics that are on your mind, comic stuff on your mind, hit me up. I love having these conversations. It's fun. What's the Discord? The Discord is discord.com/webcomics hub. No, that's a lie. Discord.webcomicshub.co.uk. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's the Discord. I love how I forgot my own fucking website. God, I'm a moron. Discord.webcomicshub.co.uk. I made my own Discord link because they wouldn't give me partner. So I got really salty and then I made my own Discord link because I couldn't be bothered. From Sean McFarland, CSP is great, but its lettering is not the strongest feature by far. Yeah, and like Sean, I'm not an artist. I'm a shit artist. So my things that I rely on are like being able to typeset. You know, those are the things I care about. I'm not a good artist. I fucking suck at artistry. I learned all the extra skills I could because I know as a writer, every artist needs a little bit of help, and you don't want to be like the stooge that just writes and fucks off when production is still ongoing. Because writing takes like 3 months and then drawing takes like 8 months, and it's just an idea of which one is harder. It's just more which one just more that one takes longer. How do you even make a Discord link like Discord invite link that look like that? I made it myself. It's my own link. It's my own website. It's based on my website. So I make a lot of little tools for I make a lot of little tools for myself. Discord.webcomicshub.co.uk is just a redirect though, just an easy, simple redirect for my Discord that I use my website I host using my website. But I make tools for I make tools for webcomics creators for me to use, and then eventually I send them out to webcomics creators. Like I made the link tree, which anyone can use. If you guys want to use the link tree, it's on my GitHub. I posted it in the Discord server, and I'll probably put it in a little channel in the Discord when I make a channel for like all my stuff. So you can just go there and open it, and then if you have your own website, you can have your own link tree, and you can stop giving the NFT sucker, the NFT loving link tree money or your time. I really don't like NFTs. I think that's pretty obvious. What is the next question I got? Writing takes 3 days. Drawing takes 8 months. It depends on the creator. I know that when I'm writing stuff, it takes me months to write anything. I take like months and months and months to write anything. It's actually quite a process for me. It's always been a process for me. Writing is probably one of my hardest things to deal with. I hate writing. I hate writing so much, but I love it too. It's very expressive, but like my writing takes months and months and months. Like when I write videos, like any video you've seen on the channel, like the Zuda Comics video took me 6 months to write and research. The Webtoon video about the problems of Webtoon was like the crunchiest video I made, and it took me 2 months. I've written a video that's currently in production that's about villains. That's going to take me another month, and it took me like almost a year to get this right. It takes me forever to write. But I know that when it comes to like doing the actual art and production stuff around it, it just takes a lot longer. It takes a lot longer. Yeah, I hate writing, but I love writing. It's a love-hate relationship, you know? Yeah. And I'm currently working on another video I'm writing that's based on some research I read in the Frontiers of Psychology. One day I'll talk to you guys about this. It's pretty funny. It's pretty fun, but it's super boring. Your problem, I think, is that you have high standards for yourself. I mean, I think every creator should have high standards for themselves. Like, it's good. It's good. I know it can lead to perfectionism, and like, don't get me wrong, perfectionism is a twat, and nobody likes him, and nobody invites him to their dinner parties. But at the same time, he's also kind of rich, and he's a nice guy sometimes. You know, I like having him around. He's not the best, but he's all right. Have you worked on a webtoon before? And if you have, then what was your best moment while working on a webtoon? My best moment while working on a webtoon was when I worked on Aerosol with my friend Jay. God, I loved working on Aerosol with my friend Jay. Jay's comic was so interesting. It was about a world where there was graffiti-based magic. And because he's a graffiti artist, he just gave it such a real feel. And working with him was great because he was such a good guy, and he dealt with a lot of my problems, a lot of my negative behavior. And he was also very willing to indulge my positive behavior and indulge me. And we both wanted to make the best possible thing. And I wish in some ways that I was better in that relationship, and I wish in some ways that we could have done more. Like I miss making comics. And I have a comic that I've written. I have a new comic that I've written. Say new, it's an old comic that I've rewritten. And I would love to get it to production, but it's just been really hard to find people to work with, especially because like I want to pay them. I want to pay them a good rate, and the stuff I need is expensive. From Sean McFarlane, some writers would just casually drop the phrase "massive armies" or "demon horde" and feel no shame, but they should. They actually should. Like honestly, it's actually depressing. I hate large scale fights. Like I actually quite hate large scale fights. It's not interesting to me. Fights should have stakes, right? Like I think there was this really good video I was watching on choreography, and it was a video that was talking about how if you watch Jet Li and like the greats in like action choreography, right? They have like 200, they hit like 160, 200 times, and like 99% of those hits are like blocked. But only a handful of them hit because every hit's supposed to like carry a ton of weight, right? So they get hit once and then like they go down or they take a really big lot of damage, and that like adds a lot of tension. And when it comes to large scale armies, it loses all that tension for me. So that's a thing. For How to Draw Manga, the Nen edition, dude, I'm gonna say this for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna say this forever. The How to Draw Manga comic, the How to Draw Manga book by Katie Coop is so goddamn good. Like I read it multiple times now for like almost since I bought it, Luxiva. I've read it multiple times. It's so good. It's such a good learning tool. Like I would love to talk about learning tools in art, but I'm not equipped enough. One day I will. We'll see. Maybe another podcast will do it. I'm still working on the Scott McCloud podcast with a friend, so that's gonna take a while. I need to make more assets for myself. You should make more assets for yourself, Ajani. Make as many assets as you possibly can to reduce your overall workload. From Cover Zombie, I wanted to ask, when I posted my contest entry, it's a chapter taken from my original comic, so they had the name, and I think it got rating bumped down to an 8 because of it. Should I be concerned about the rating? I don't know. I don't know. Ratings on Webtoon are really weird. Like, they're volatile. Sometimes they matter a lot. Sometimes they don't seem to matter at all. And Webtoon is highly aware there's a problem with the rating system. So it's very confusing to me that they're still doing it. Not the rating as a whole. I think rating is good. I think rating is good as a concept. I just think that Webtoon does rating in the laziest possible way, which has led to a lot of little problems. I would love to see them change it, but I don't think it matters too much for the contest because engagement matters a lot more. Lots of popular things are poorly rated, or in fact, lots of popular things are poorly rated, but they're popular and they make money, and that's what Webtoon cares about. So I don't think that's going to affect you too much. From Secret Pie, can you tell me about your comic? No. I don't want to tell you about my comic. It's kind of, I don't know, it feels weird. It feels weird talking about it. I think only my friends have ever heard me talk about it. Sean McFarland, I was a diehard How to Draw Comics the Marvel way when I was learning as a lad. Honestly, Sean, I actually quite like How to Draw Comics the Marvel way. I think it's good. I think it's a really good book because I think what it does, if you combine How to Draw Comics the Marvel way with How to Draw Manga by Katie Coop as like initial learning material for young, I'm talking like 6 to 10, comic artists. I think it's such a powerful tool because they get to see in like a very concrete visual way the distinction between the way comics is handled in like two very opposing parts of the world in terms of the artistic space. And then everything else kind of falls in between. I think that's a really interesting thing for them to do. I also would love them if they could see the comics on how to draw Asterix and Obelisk. Those were comics. Those were books when I was a kid. How to draw like Asterix and all those things, because that's a very symbolic thing about European comics. We don't talk about European comics enough on this show, but European comics have their own style, and I would love there to be one for African comics too, which have also evolved in their own kind of niche and evolved their own aesthetics and style and ideas. And I would love to talk about African comics. I've been trying to get in contact with some African comic creators. You'd think it'd be easier considering I've not only lived on the continent, I'm from the continent, and I'm still a first-gen immigrant, but it takes time. Nen's comic is a self-insert isekai, and I've got all the waifus. You know what's funny? Is you're not wrong about me having waifus, or it being a bit of a self-insert. But I think you don't know what the waifus do. The waifus, let's just say I don't know if I should talk about my idea. All right, fine. I'll tell you a little bit about it. The comic is a dark fantasy. It's a what do you call it? It's a horror comic based in like a cul-de-sac, run entirely by bugs. and I don't really want to talk too much about it. And the one that I recently rewrote is a comic about a guy who stumbles across a city full of blind people a city of people who are self-blinded for the god that they worship. Those are the two comics I've currently got like in the bag that I still care about. And there's a third comic that I'm not touching anymore because it's a little bit painful to write. It's a comic about being gay and about family. And I don't really want to write that one anymore. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, cool. You have the information. Question, have I heard of Saturday AM? Saturday AM, PM, what do I think about them? Okay, so I know about Saturday AM, PM. I know about them because a friend of mine almost got to make comics with them. A friend of mine almost got to make comics with them. And I guess I've only heard bad things about them. I've never heard anything good about them. And that's not to say that they're bad. I don't know anything about them. I remember their whole thing is that they're basically trying to be Shonen Jump for indie comics. They publish anthologies, they give them names and they publish an AM, a PM, and a brunch edition of their comics. AM is their Shonen. PM is their Seinen. Brunch is their Josei. And they have a Saturday afternoon, which is also Shonen, but just like a different brand of Shonen. And I know that's their whole thing. I think they're growing every year, but I've not heard anything good about them. But I don't think they're bad people, and I just haven't given them enough time. I'll be honest. I haven't given them enough time. I think I should put time down. Maybe I should get in contact with them, talk to one of the creators, talk to one of the people involved. I'll actually put that down on the list because I've kind of just avoided doing that for a few years because I heard that one bad thing. Yeah. Horror is the best genre, as long as it isn't thriller disguised as horror. Yeah, I agree. I think thriller is such a niche interest. I don't know why people like it so much. Anyway, that's all the questions I got time for. There's no other ones. That's every question everyone's asked me. I'm going to head out. But remember, before, as I'm heading out, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate having you guys every podcast, every show. More and more people show up. I see more and more new names, and I feel so much better. If you're rewatching this on the channel, thank you so much for watching this. If you like what I make, please go on to Patreon. Go to patreon.com/webcomics hub. From just $1 a month plus, you get access to scripts when they're being written, pre-production material for any videos that are being worked on, or just in general, you get access to, you support me and the things that I'm working on. And of course, you get access to me on the Discord server. If you like what I make, if you like my opinions, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/webcomics hub. I occasionally tweet decent things, but I also use the Twitter account to let you know when the streams are happening. You can also join the Discord server, discord.webcomicshub.co.uk, and you can, come and say hi, talk to the people, talk to the friends, make new friends. I'm in there often enough at this point. And yeah, thank you for watching. I know there's other links I've got going on. I've got a Ko-fi, I've got other stuff. Doesn't matter. I love doing this, and I hope you want to support me when I do this. Good night, everyone. I'll see you next Saturday. Hopefully next Saturday I can get the watch party going. I got to contact my YouTube friends so we can do the watch party. We can watch season 1, episode 1 and 2 of what's the name of that comic from the guy who made Bastard? Sweet Home. Watch season 1 and 2 of Sweet Home. That'll be fun. Okay, stream's ending. Goodbye.